Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. Well, actually, he's a bigger guy right here. This is the Monterey Bay Knives XLC. First off, though, in the name of full disclosure, I want to thank Monterey Bay Knives for sending this little guy along. That's right. They reached out to me, said, "Hey Nick, we got something cool. You want to check it out?" I said, "Absolutely." But as always, I sent them my disclaimer from my website. Told them I want to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. It might be a gem, might be junk. They still send it along. We do have to assume this is the very best quality controlled one of these guys ever, and I'm doing my best not to let this affect the nature of my review, but there you go, full disclosure. Next thing, size comparison. This is not a small knife. Here it is against the Ontario Rat number 2, sorry. Here it is against the Spyderco Delica, and of course the Spyderco PM2. So you can see here, this is not small. In fact, in terms of sharpened blade length and in terms of overall blade length, this is exceeding the PM2 in pretty much every way. And then actually a Monterey Bay comparison here, we can do this against the EWC, the Everywhere Carry, one of my very favorite knives from them, and there you go. Unfortunately, my EZC is on load at the moment, so I don't have that to compare it against, but it's about the same size as the EWC. So anyways, there you go. Next thing, one thing to keep in mind is that this is actually a big version of the EZC. You've seen my review of the EZC before, and this is just that, but much bigger. But it actually has one very important difference, and that comes in this part right here. But anyways, let's just go on ahead and jump into it. Let's talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly of this very, very cool knife. So to start with, on the good side, there were some nice details here. I mean, to start with, it's got a lock bar insert. It's externally mounted, but there you go. It's very straightforward to do. It has a very nice clip, and you can see here that the clip is actually mirroring the cutout on the other side there. And I actually kind of like this cutout here. I mean, it's a little thing. It's a subtle detail, but it's very easy to keep clean. It gives you a little bit of extra texture on this guy, and it's just good. And then finally, one of the things I always love about Laconico's knives is that you have this branding on the very top there. It is very, very subtle. It actually serves as a little bit of jimping on there. Not a whole lot, but a little bit of jimping on there, and it's excellent. And then, as a result, though, the knife is very, very clean. With only the very subtle little Monterey Bay logo up here in the corner, there is very, very little branding on there, and that's definitely something I appreciate. It's very, very low-key in that way, and lends this a sense of minimalism that I think it works very well with. Next thing, the action on this is great. This is a really good action. Here it is, no wrist at all. Yeah, absolutely 100% reliably fires with no question whatsoever. No concern, absolutely amazing action. And then on the closing side, you know what? It's damn good there, too. This has a very, very nice action. Very reliable, very easy to use, and this is barely even broken in. This is a great action. Next thing, the blade on this guy. Any other knife, the blade would probably be the great here. But the blade here is great. It is an M390 blade with a very beautiful mirrory sort of finish, which is absolutely spectacular. It has relatively thin stock on here. I mean, we can compare this to the Spyderco PM2, and we can see here that the stock thickness is substantially lower. And that's something that is often a problem with integral pocket knives. They tend to use really thick stock to make it easier on themselves. But no, they're using reasonable stock here, and that leads them to have a relatively thin edge here. This knife absolutely 100% will cut. If we look at the tip of this guy, yeah, that's a nice thin little tip there. I appreciate that very much. And then it has a really nice sharpening choil here that goes all the way to where you need it to go and not a little bit further. And so you get a complete and total easy to sharpen blade here. That's absolutely wonderful. Next thing, the price on this is good. It's $300. Now, that's not cheap. Any day of the week, that is an expensive knife, but it's really good for the price. For a long time, integral knives, where the handle is made of one chunk of titanium here, were only available above like $400, right? And slowly they've been creeping down. We recently had the BRS Evolve Eon, which is $290, I want to say, and then there's this guy at $300. This is really nice. I love integral pocket knives, and to see them in a price range that's going to be a little more accessible to more people, although still pricey, is absolutely great. I'm 100% here for this kind of a price point with M390, full integral construction, really excellent work overall. Yes, 100% yes. Then finally, it's actually surprisingly compact knife. Despite packing in there, I'll go ahead and do a blade measurement real quick. We are packing in here about 3.6 or so inches of blade, depending on how you want to measure this guy. Maybe 3.75, getting close. Anyways, so we've got like 3.66 inches or so of blade. But the thing is, in practice, it's actually not that big. It fits entirely within the silhouette of a PM2 there, which is important. And the weight on it actually isn't bad either. Go ahead and throw this guy in the scale. We are coming in here at 4.07 ounces for 3.6. Now, look, is it the lightest thing ever? No, and a big part of that is because it's a big chunk of titanium on the back of it here. But at the same time, you know what, it's not, for what it is, for the amount of blade that you're getting, this actually feels very compact, and it's relatively thin as well. Coming in a little bit thinner than the Spyderco Paramilitary too, so that's great. And so to me, all of that is the good, is that it's compact and light, it's got a great price, a great blade, great action, and some very nice details. To me, though, what's great about this guy is the construction. This is a super minimalist design, and it's done with a super minimalist construction. This is an integral pocket knife, where both sides, you know, most pocket knives are designed like, well, actually this one is the well, actually is a weird one, but still, most knives have a scale on either side, and then some kind of a backspacer or a standoff. Here is a knife with a backspacer, the CRKT Overland, where you have a scale, you have a backspacer, and a scale on the other side. It's multi-piece construction. On this guy here, you have the handle here, is the same piece of metal as this part here, is the same piece of metal as this part here, as well as the lock bar. The only external pieces on this guy are the clip, the lock bar insert, and the blade. Everything else is one piece of metal. This lends it a feeling of solidity that is very, very impressive, but it also lends it a very strong feeling of minimalism, right? Because there's really nothing much. If you look at this, there's not even, a separate hole for the stop pin, because actually the stop pin itself is titanium. It's integral to the inside there. And that's, look, it is so clean. This knife is amazingly freaking clean, and I love that very, very much. This is a really nice, clean design, and the integral construction, I think, suits it really well. There's just one screw making for a very easy disassembly here. I feel like this is watching, and the fun thing about this is that, it's a little more complex to make. Actually, probably a fair amount more complex to make the integral, but the end result ends up being a lot simpler. So there's sort of a weird tension going on there. But to me, at least, what's great about this guy is that construction. The fact that we're getting this incredible integral blade here, along with the good action, along with everything else, just really is the icing on the cake. And so to me, that's what's great here, is a very minimalist knife with a very minimalist construction. The bad side, to me at least, it's a little on the bigger side. You're coming in over 3.5 inches. That's going to make it a little bit, that's going to make it illegal in some places, although not all that many places. But, not a big deal, and if you're okay with bigger knives, then this is going to be fine for you. Next thing, this is definitely pocket pecking a little bit. That's a situation. Not the end of any worlds, particularly, and for some people that doesn't bother them, but this is definitely, it's got itself quite the flipper tab there. Next thing, this guy is, it's got kind of a weird finishing difference, because if you see here, the front and the back look to be some kind of a machine finish. You can see a little bit of a striation there. And then if you look on the top, they've done some sort of a hand rub higher polish finish on the top here and then over. And so as a result, you end up with a knife that is very matte from this angle and very shiny from this angle, and it's a little weird, right? I don't 100% get it. Yet the clip is very matte and not shiny. Like I said, I kind of wish that they had done this gray finish throughout the thing. I think it would be a little bit more consistent, and this just strikes me as a little bit of extra work that they didn't really need. Next thing, this guy has a balance that's a little bit further back. This guy balances about back here, where I might like it to balance a little bit closer to where my fit. This is a very much a detail, but I think that they could probably mill a little bit more material out from in here, and that would help to remove that a little bit. Next thing, another area they could remove some material is right here, at this little corner here. This is a little bit of a sharp corner, as is actually this little area right here. It feels like they forgot to break this edge quite down, and so I'd like to see just a little bit more chamfering on that guy. Then finally, on the bad side, I dislike this lanyard hole. This is a textbook lazy lanyard hole. It's like, okay, this knife, for instance, the EWC, this is a very clean design here. And although it's actually a little less clean, because it's got these screws, but then this is a beautifully clean minimalist knife, and then they just put a lanyard hole through the middle of it there. It's like, guys, no, and it's a huge lanyard hole, too. You, put one of the freaking, ropes holding a ship to the dock through there. I mean, God, that's an exaggeration, but still. It's a big freaking lanyard hole, and I don't know that they needed a lanyard hole at all, let alone one that's this damn big. And so I really wish that they had skipped that and either done, there are other ways to do a lanyard hole, right? You can do a lanyard hole even on an integral. You can drill something in through the back here. That way it doesn't show up as clearly. You're looking at the knife, and it's still a very clean look. Just through there, make a little lanyard hole. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan necessarily of lanyard holes generally, but this one is just like, you had such cleanliness here. You had such a clean look going, and then you put through a freaking hole. No, Just drop the freaking hole and be done with it. So to me, at least, that's what's bad, is the lanyard hole sucks. I'd like to see a little more chamfering near the lock here. The balance is a little far back. I don't think they need the polished finish up here, and this is definitely pocket pecking like crazy. And it is maybe a little bit big, but that's going to be very personal. Ugly-wise, there's nothing ugly here, so let's go into your final conclusion, and that is that this thing is scary good. When I got this guy out of the box, it was just like, oh, damn it, this is a gem. And I continue to feel that way, because it's got good details, great action, an awesome blade, a great price. It's actually pretty small for the amount of blade there, and the simplicity is awesome. It is a little big, it's pocket peck, and the finishing thing's a little bit strange. They could use a couple of chamfers here and there, and definitely the lanyard hole, bad freaking plan. But I think that this is actually a very nice fusion of design and construction. Ray Laconico is a designer who is not only very prolific, holy crap, but he tends to focus on a very minimal design language, and he tends to have a very function-forward aesthetic. This is why I like a lot of his work, right? A lot of his work tends to be very simple knives with relatively little going on, but they end up being amazing tools that have just enough fancy to them to look great. And I think this is very, very well suited to that. Minimal design language and function forward goes beautifully with an integral frame lock, which is as minimal as you can make a knife, and a beautifully ground blade with a nice, and the fanciness here comes from things like the finishing on that blade, which is absolutely great. And the action and things like that. That ends up being a very, very nice match. A minimalist designer with a minimalist design or a construction method ends up creating a knife that is maximally freaking awesome. And if you couple that with a way lower than historically seen price on an integral frame lock, oh yes, I am here for this. And so this knife is absolutely a gem. It is an absolutely wonderful fusion of form and design, or I'm sorry, of construction and design philosophy, of form and function, and I really, really like that. I love the EZC, and considering this is a bigger version of it, made just a little fancier, oh yes, I am totally down. Mind you, it is a little bit big for me. I am going to go ahead and send this guy back, so this was a loaner, but nonetheless, I am very much hoping that the EZC ends up getting the integral treatment as well, because I think that this kind of construction, this kind of a blade, this kind of finishing on a knife that's just a little bit smaller could be a hit out of the park for a bunch of different people. But this is absolutely great. Monterey Bay and Ray Laconico have been just hitting it out of the park lately. First the WC, actually, frankly, first the ZC, then the WC, then this guy here, the XLC, they are just doing really good work, and I'm absolutely thrilled to see it. And so I highly recommend this. I've been recommending it to my patrons. I've been recommending it to damn near everybody who listen. If you like the size, if you like the design language, and you like the construction, and you're willing to plunk down that kind of money, then oh my God, should you do this? Because the XLC is excellent. So anyways, there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you, that this review was integral to your decision-making process, and that you have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.